welcome to FinancePath's quarterly directors report. It's been a huge quarter, more importantly been a big week. The Premiership Cup's moved to the west, and if you read recent media reports, property prices could be falling by up to 40%. Mate, has it been all that bad in the last quarter?
Well, it could be worse. Collingwood could have won.
Yeah, good point.
It could have been worse.
Yep.
It's Wednesday.
I know.
We're both wearing pink.
I know.
So apparently we get a seat at the cool table, whatever that means. So the girls in the office told me to mention that. I don't get it, different generation, but apparently we get a seat.
It's a reference to Mean Girls.
Is it? Okay.
It's a reference to a movie called Mean Girls, which we are clearly not on top of.
No, we're not. Right. So let's address it, particularly the current affair report, I suppose, that went out last Sunday. We've had increased inquiry from clients turning around saying a little bit concerned about possibly what's going to happen with the market. So let's sack the sensationalism and just deal with facts. CoreLogic is one of the leading providers of property data in our industry, and what their statistics show is that over the last 35 years we've had 8 periods of prices reducing. Right? So 8 periods over 35 years. So what we're dealing with now is nothing that we haven't really seen to some degree before. Those price reductions could be anywhere between sort of 2% and 10%, and have traditionally gone anywhere between a period of time, say 6 months through to 2 years. Now, the thoughts are that with the reductions in prices that we're experiencing at the moment, it might be a little bit more than that and go for longer. But what's really important to note is that in this sensationalistic reporting around 40% price reductions, even the experts that a current affair went and interviewed to back
the
up.
Data guys.
Yeah, the data guys.
The data guys, yeah.
If you read subsequent commentary from both of those guys, they said that a current affair picked and chose the parts that they wanted to put out there, which was the worst case scenario, and realistically they feel that the price reductions, although that is a possibility, are going to be less than that. If you look at more balanced commentary and I suppose more reputable reporters, and our thoughts are along the same sort of lines, is that we think that there will be a reduction of somewhere between 10 and 20%. From the peaks of the market. Now, I understand that the peaks happened probably around somewhere between 6 and 12 months ago. And again, it depends on market. So even when we're talking about 10 and 20%, it's really hard to turn around and say, okay, well, is that, because they're bundling up properties that are in, using Melbourne as an example, apartments that are vacant in Docklands and oversupplied with heritage properties in queue. So, totally different performing markets. So please understand when you're looking at percentages and you're looking at these headlines that they're general in nature and you need to drill down a little bit deeper. The reason why they're thinking that this downturn in the market may last a little bit longer than others, and I tend to agree, is primarily one of the factors that it has an impact on property prices, which is the availability of credit, right?
Sure.
So the ability for people to go and get loans. Now, I'll throw it over to you, Chris, because that really ties in with something else that's been going on, and we referenced in our last report the Royal Commission. So let's talk about the Royal Commission and availability of credit.
So the Royal Commission had a number of findings. The one that's going to impact our clients and more importantly consumers more broadly is the focus on living expenses moving forward. So historically, it's been up to businesses like us and clients to, not only clients to self-declare what they believe their living expenses are across a range of categories, but for us to make reasonable inquiries around, do they seem reasonable? And do they seem reasonable for that particular circumstance, whether it's a family with 2 kids, etc. Moving forward, the Royal Commission, or more importantly, the burden of proof is on us to actually prove that living expenses that are being stated by clients are actual real living expenses. We're going to have to provide proof in most cases, be that credit card statements, living expense statements, bank accounts, etc. To justify that the living expenses that are being stated are the actual living expenses that are actually moving through their bank accounts.
So more justification.
Absolutely.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're already seeing it at the moment, lenders sitting there and scrutinising the actual transactions.
Absolutely.
Where clients are spending their money.
We've had questions come back around identifying that there's some, in some cases, some gambling that is occurring. Overspending on alcohol, like really specific stuff that lenders are identifying through these accounts. Now, the Royal Commission has identified that the scrutiny on living expenses and actually looking at proof associated with living expenses could impact borrowing capacities by anywhere between 10 and 30%.
Which is what we were saying, not to sound like a flog
Exactly
about it,
right.
but we were talking about this about
Yep.
3 or 4 months ago. So someone that could borrow 500 grand 6 months ago, 12 months ago, in the new world might only be able to borrow 350,000.
Exactly right.
Yep.
And that could have some significant impacts, not only for people trying to get into the market,
Yep.
but for existing clients. And I'll get you to touch on that in a minute.
Yep.
Is this a bad thing? Not necessarily. Ensuring that clients are comfortably able to afford their mortgage now, and more importantly into the future, isn't necessarily a bad thing. And ensuring that we're actually doing our due diligence in regards to ensuring they can afford that isn't necessarily a bad thing. What will make a difference for clients is they have to do some more homework.
Yep.
Applying for a home is going to require a little bit more homework for our clients. It's going to require a little bit more homework from us, and it may impact in taking a little bit longer to get approvals done because it's going to take some time to scrutinise those living expenses.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's going to be a more onerous process to get approved for a loan, and all parties are going to play a role in that.
Exactly right. So we talk about the impact that might have on not only new homeowners trying to get into the market and the access to funds.
Yep.
And if access to funds isn't available, clearly there's not enough money to actually go out and purchase properties. This historically was in the market. But what is one of the key impacts you think across our existing client base?
Well, if you think about homeowners or those trying to get into the market, there's probably going to be a bit of a balance there. If we see a correction in prices, they're not going to have to pay as much to buy the property that they had to say 12, 18 months ago, 2 years ago. But that said, that might be balanced out by the fact that this scrutiny on living expenses means they can't borrow as much. So the net result may not be too different for those that are just trying to get into the market. One sector of the market which is quite obvious is going to be impacted more so than probably any others are those investors and those that have a portfolio of property, primarily those that have interest-only periods on their investment loans that probably expire within the next 12 to 24 months. The reason that they're most exposed is if upon conversion of those repayments to principal and interest, that's going to put them under cash flow stress. The reality is in days gone by, there's a whole number of options. They can go and refinance that loan and take it across to another lender and get a fresh 5-year interest-only period, for argument's sake. The number of options that will be available in that next 12 to 24 months, or currently at the moment, aren't as broad as what they were previously because lenders aren't allowing as high a loan-to-value ratio. So traditionally at the moment it's sort of capped at around about 80%. As opposed to 90s, etc. in days gone by. So if they're in a situation where their property value hasn't gone up over that interest-only period, they've seen it start to drop away. With the new living expense world, their borrowing capacity is not there. There's certainly they're the market or the sector of the market that are going to be more exposed. So as a business, what we encourage is not only our investor clients, but also those that are homeowners. Not that a large number of our owner-occupied borrowers probably have a large percentage of interest-only debt, but we encourage you to be proactive and get on the front foot and have a chat to us. What's really important to understand is I understand that it makes good newspaper reading and talking about banks repossessing homes, the poor battler that just had no options and the banks wouldn't listen to him. We've got over 1,000 clients, well over 1,000 clients on our books. Less than 1% of our clients are currently in arrears or behind in their loan repayments. So less than 1, which accounts for like less than 10 people. The majority are ahead in their loan repayments, or they have access to equity or buffers of equity that can assist them through periods of fluctuating income, etc. It's also important to understand that over 10 years of being in business, we've only ever had one person that has had to have their property forcibly sold by our funder. Now, it's simple. It's just get on the front foot and be proactive. So don't sit there concerned thinking, geez, okay, things are going to get tight, my property value is going to go down and everything's all bad. Just get on the front foot, be proactive, come in and have a chat to us, and I can assure our clients that if they do that, we'll be able to work through a strategy that will make sure that there's no stress through a period of price reductions in their properties.
Fantastic.
Cool. Looking good in pink.
We get to say cool table.
Cool table.